Smooth. Yeah.
Hello, my friends. How you doing? This is Coffee Chug, and I'm here today to give you a quick demo, a tutorial of sorts of how I would convert the super famous and super helpful Makey Makey Scratch project that was posted in the Makey Makey Labs a few months ago, and where teachers have been creating formative assessment trackers or exit slip tracker where kids can push the buttons and then we can take that data and compile it into a spreadsheet, whether to see we want to measure student learning or just see how they feel about the lesson or whatever it is that you want it to do. But with the new Scratch 3.0, there are some things that we need to kind of think about. So what I thought I'd do is provide you a very stripped down, simple demo of how I would code the exit slip project in Scratch 3.0. The idea here is that it would help those of you who are working through it. And more importantly, I would love to see how others would do this. And so in the show notes or the link, whatever, I will provide the link to this project. I would love for you to remix it and show me how you would code. Because I think this is something that's really important that we show not just educators, but students, just like we're trying to do in the math classroom and in all our core content classes, that there is more than one way to do things. So I'm sharing this as a way to help. But more importantly, I'm hoping that you will remix it and let's see how many different ways we could come up with ways to gather data through the Exit Slip project for your classroom. So let's don't jump into it here. I've got my playing field of my Scratch 3.0. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over here to events and we're just going to drag over the when the green flag is clicked. And we're then going to drop down here to this variable block. And what we want to do is we want to create a list so we can compile the data. So we could do variables, but I'm going to go right here to make a list. And I'm just going to call it exit slip data. And you can call it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. And now over here we have this list feed that's going to be showing up. And what we want to do is that each time we run this, so as I am teaching 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 classes, whatever your crazy schedule is, I could get data each time for each individual class. And so what I want to do is I'm going to drag this. I'm under variables still. I'm going to scroll down here to my list data now that I have a list. And I'm going to drag over this. And we're going to replace item 1 of the exit slip data. And we're going to make this a 0. And what we're going to do then, we're just going to copy this with however many data points you want. Most people that I see typically have 4, so we're just going to stick with 4 for the sake of this. But you would have one of these for however many options you're going to give the students, or if kids are doing this for their own project, however many choices you want them to have. So I'm just going to replace all these with 0 here. And you'll notice nothing has happened yet, which is perfectly fine. But what this will do is reset all our numbers to 0 every time we click the green flag. So it'll be important that you export the data when you're done with each class period. What we want to do now then, we have our list kind of set to be defaulted to 0, is we want to go back to events. And now here's how we're going to program or control our Makey Makey. So in this case, I'm just going to use the up arrow. When the up arrow is pressed, we're going to drop down here to variables again. And we're going to go here with this replace option that we have right here. And we're going to replace item 1 of our list. And we're going to change this here. Okay, so how we do this is I'm going to go here and I'm going to put in an operator. All right. So in this operator, I'm going to be doing the plus sign because we're going to change this number by 1. So I'm going to wait for this little circle to be highlighted. I'm going to plop that bad boy in there just like that. I'm going to go back down here to my variables. All right. And then in here, I'm going to pick this item 1 of my list. And I'm going to take this, see how it's round and kind of like I almost said rectangle. It's not a rectangle, is it? Yeah, one of those things that's not a circle, but kind of close to it. Complete brain fart on this video, right? It's okay. So I got this item one of exit slip data right here, and I want to change this by an increment of one. Now, what I want to do is I can click here on this yellow, and I'm just going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to repeat this for each one. But now I'm just going to change my command. So now here's the down arrow, and I'm going to make this item 2 of the list, and I'm going to change item 2 by 1. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to paste that again. I'm going to make this the right arrow, and we're just going to simply change this to 3 and 3. And then one more time, I'm going to make this the left arrow. And then obviously this will be 4 and 4. So now when I go to run this program, there's my list, nothing's in there. But when I go now to click my options, we should start to get a tabulation of our projects here. And so the way that this will work then is every time we hit up, it'll move this number by 1. If I hit down, data point 2, that kind of thing. So now what we want to do is we're going to go over here to our list, and we need to make sure we add these options. So I'm just going to add the 4 options right there. So these are the list items, 1, 2, 3, 4. I just did that right there. All right, I got my list. I don't really need this cat so much in the space here. So now when I go to run this program, I'm going to minimize this so you can see. I'm going to hit this green arrow. You can see that it reset everything to 0 like we had programmed here. And now when I hit the up arrow, it's going to create these numbers. So as the kids go through and use the Makey Makey, and on those compilations, whatever you want, they're going to sit there and hit the correct response. So now that we have this data, what do we do with it? So we use most schools I work with use Google. So I just have a Google sheet here, very simple and blank, and you could label your categories however you want. And so if you want it in this case, I'm confused. I still have questions. I'm good with the lesson. I'm great with the lesson. I just put whatever those codes are for my graphs that I want to show up for my labels in here. I wouldn't put the full question. I mean, you can. I just put the keywords so I know what it is I'm looking at when I do my data here. And so now that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 right in there, I'm actually just going to move my cursor right to this next column because we're actually going to import right to this list. So these are the labels that you're going to want for your chart. Here is where I want the data to be inserted. So now I'm going to jump over here to my list. And when I right click, I get an import and export. And I'm going to choose export. And it's going to download this as a text file right down here. You can see it, this exit slip data down here in the bottom left. So now in Google, I got my cursor here. I'm going to go File. I'm going to drop down here to Import. And I'm going to upload. And I'm simply just going to drag this bad boy right here. And it's going to give me several options. And what I want to do is, if I put it here, it'll just make a brand new spreadsheet with no labels. And there's all these things that you can do. What I want to do is replace data at selected cell. So over here, you can see I'm already in B1. So I'm going to hit that. And when I import this, my numbers are going to populate right there. Now I'm in great shape. So I could do a couple things. I could jump over here to Explore, where it's going to give me some options of what I could automatically insert. And it'll put this in there. So boom, I've got that. Or maybe I wanted a pie chart, however you want it. So you have some of those things with the beauty of Google tools. They provide a lot. And so I could use that Explore tab accordingly. And I've got this, and I could put this graph into whatever. I could copy it and paste it into a Google Sheet or whatever it is that you use for your tools. You know, the other thing, if you don't want to use the Explore, I could highlight these columns here. I could go to Insert. I could go to Chart. and then I could go through and do all whatever it is that I would want to use. So you have all these other options that I could pick in here, and away we go. So that's how I would get my data that I could then export and share with whoever needs to see that, or maybe I just need to see trends among the class. And if I had several classrooms, I would simply just add a new sheet at the bottom, and I would just make this, this would be period one, this could be period two, on and on and on. So I have it all in one place, so I don't have to have 10,000 tabs open. So there is my exit slip demo code, how I would capture formative assessment or exit slip data from my students if I was in the classroom working with kids. And I think this works really, really well. If I wanted the display of how do I know what the kids are going to click on, I would print onto the post-it notes on my actual exit slip creation that I built so they could actually touch that. Or you could write some additional code where it would be on the overhead projector on the actual scratch screen. I would make that full circle, and I would maybe have like 4 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, so they know what they're picking. And then my actual exit slip tracker device that I built out of cardboard and foil or whatever would mimic that particular look. All right, guys, I hope you found this helpful. Let me know what questions you have. More importantly, I would love to see how you would remix this and make it even better, because that's how we all learn. All right, guys, take care.